item if you're a wrestling fan. It's got all the wrestlers from the 80s, 90s on there, so it's definitely worth a look. Definitely worth a good. It was definitely worth a good buy, and it's still playable, believe it or not. Still playable. So, yeah, that's my second game, and if it comes on the Virtual Console, check it out. WrestleMania Challenge. Alright, the next game here we have is Tiny Toon Adventures 2 Adventures in Wacky Land. Now, I don't have the first game, but apparently I got the second. And this is basically like playing little mini games and all that. It's like certain characters go to certain events, certain places. Like, for example, you sort of have like a bumper cars pinball like mini game that involves Plucky. You have something like a standing on some kind of a roller coaster or something like that deal where you spin around and around with Babs. You got a logging game with Furball, and you got a train game, a train mini game with Hampton. And your goal is basically to, I guess, to get into this big castle in the middle of it. It's an interesting game. It's got good graphics. It was released by Konami. It's released by Konami. Definitely worth a look. And if it comes on the Virtual Console, check it out. But you know, it's definitely a fun game. It's got good animation. Definitely worth the price. If you pay for it at a game exchange or something, definitely worth the price to pay. Now, another game I got at a game exchange is this one. Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, released by Capcom. This is actually a very fun game. Very fun game. I think me and my sisters have beat it. I think my sisters have beat it multiple times. I think I beat it once or twice. I can't remember. But it is a fun game. Your main goal is to, I think in the middle of the stage, you got to rescue Gadget, and then for the rest of the game, you got to find and defeat Fat Cat and put him in jail. So it's definitely a fun game. It has a sequel out somewhere. I don't have the sequel, but if I can ever get my hands on it, I will. But it's a fun game. It's almost like Mario Brothers, but not really. But it's a fun game. Good animation, believe it or not. It's decent animation. Definitely check it out. And if you're a Rescue Rangers fan, it's definitely a good collector's item. And lastly, we have Tailspin. Tailspin was released about a year or so after Rescue Rangers game was. And it's basically, the goal is you're Baloo, you're in this little biplane version of the Sea Duck, and you're basically shooting away at sky pirates while still trying to deliver your cargo. And it's got some decent animation with the cutscenes and all that, so it's pretty good. Definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. It may be a little boring at first, but hey, it's a decent, sky shooter, if you will. So check it out. It's real fun. It's a real decent game. Now that we got that system out of the way, what other system do I talk about? Well, how about this system? That's right, the Super Nintendo. And like I mentioned about the NES top loader, the advantage that the Super Nintendo has is it has an eject button. Now I don't know if the remodeled version that came out around the late 90s had an eject button or not, but this one does. And basically you could take your games, put them in, and when you're done playing them, there you go. And I actually got this. I didn't actually buy this. This was actually given to me by my sisters, by my older sister, because her daughter had a Super Nintendo already. So they decided to give me it when I came out to visit. So I took it back to Kansas with me. So it's a real fun system. It was definitely the next leap in the Super Nintendo, or in the video game business, I should say. And on the back here was an extension. This was actually going to be for the CD port, believe it or not. This right here, because you might have heard rumors, you might have watched the videos with, you know, James Wolfe, the AVGN, where he's talking about the CDI and all that. Well, this was actually supposed to be where the CD extension or expansion was supposed to go, right here. So, but that never happened. But it's still a fun game. Definitely was the price. Definitely was the price that you paid for if you bought one when it first came out. And there are games now available on the Virtual Console, so definitely check that out. But yeah, the Super Nintendo. Now let's take a look at the games. Now the game I just popped in there for an example to show you the ejection button that comes with it was Bonkers. Now you might notice the difference between these cartridges and the NES cartridges. Well, of course, horizontally, or diagonally, or whatever you want to call it, rectangularized, if you will, the cartridges are about the same size, right? But width-wise, this is a little bigger. But they're about the same size when you look at them. When you compare them side by side, they're about the same size. The only difference is this one's a little bigger width-wise. Width-wise, this is a little bigger. I don't know if you can see that. Side by side, about the same size. Well, actually, the Nintendo cartridges, diagonally or height-wise, beat them out, just barely. But width-wise, they don't. So, anyway, this game here is Bonkers. This came out around '94. This is actually a pretty fun, decent game. It's got some good animation in it for the cutscenes, and it's got good animation game-wise. Your main goal is basically to recover the 3 hidden treasures of the Toon world. Basically, the top hidden treasures in the Toon world, which is the mermaid's voice, Ariel's voice, the lamp from Aladdin, and the hat from Fantasia, the sorcerer's hat from Fantasia. And your main goal is to basically figure out, not only get these items back, but also figure out who's behind it. Now at first you might think it's the collector, because he is one of the main bosses here, but it's not. Who the final boss is? Well, I'm not going to tell you, because you might have to, because if you haven't played the game yet, and you want to play it, figure it out yourself. Oh, but if you want to be spoiled, look on YouTube. You'll find out who the final boss is. But it is a fun game, decent animation, definitely worth a check, definitely worth a look. And if it comes on the Virtual Console, definitely check it out. Disney's Bonkers. The next game I have here is the Mortal Kombat 3 game. Of course, this is when Mortal Kombat really took off. It was the fighting game alongside Street Fighter. Well, was the fighting game, I should say, along with Street Fighter, that everybody wanted. And it was just, and the reason everybody wanted it was because of its fluid animation. In other words, basically no other fighting game at the time had ever been brought out like this. No other fighting game had ever, been done like this. I mean, basically you had real people who had been, I guess, digitized or digitalized into animated fighters, if you will. So it's definitely a fun game. Definitely check it out. The game is available on the Xbox Live and on the Wii and on the PSN network. But if you want the original deal, you want an old school feel, go for the cartridge. It's real fun. But yeah, Mortal Kombat 3. Just another one of my Super Nintendo games. Alright, my second one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. That's right, Tournament Fighters. This was possibly, up until Smash, was the only Ninja Turtles fighting game. It's got a storyline in it, in a way. Basically, you gotta win a tournament to, I guess, save the city or something, I don't know. You do have some characters in there from the comics, like Armageddon. You got Ring Bat and Screw Loose. You got Karai in there. You know, just to name a few. It's a fun